Folks, what are the hidden costs of buying a property in 2025? And I will tell you, like, one of the hardest things I ever run into is I'm so excited that they're actually getting into a home, but then sometimes they say, man, I just didn't realize this, all these other things. So let's really quick just talk about the things that you should expect to pay for, and maybe things that you just haven't thought of in getting into a home. Now, this should not deter you. This is part of the home buying process. I'm a massive believer in buying real estate, not only your own home, but multiple investment properties. But there's just a cost of getting into the game. I mean, that's just how it is. You got to get up and go to the gym. You got to get up and go to the store. Why not get up and know your costs by buying a home? But here's the things to think of. Number one is, I want you to think about closing costs, okay? Closing costs in general are going to cost anywhere from 1 to 5%, on average 2 to 3% of the purchase price, depending on your price point. What should you consider? Really, just remember you have origination fees from lenders. You have costs that are going to be occurred that, when you get the property appraised. You're going to also have some other costs that essentially in those closing costs take into account 2 to 3% of the value and buying a property. Now, the good thing is a lender can estimate those for you. They can provide you something on essentially just those fees kind of broken down so you can evaluate them. And then you're very prepared before you even get into a home of what those costs will be so that you can, again, one, negotiate it into the price of your property, which is an option, or you just have that money saved. The next thing I want you to think about is this. You're gonna have some prepaids and some escrows. Oftentimes prepaids they sometimes want 6 to 12 months in reserves, right? Now, it's not typical, but I have seen it. There was one property that I purchased that they said, hey, we're looking at these other properties that you own and so forth. Like, we want you to have in this account at least 6 months of reserves. I was like, okay, not a big deal. So we had made sure there were 6 month reserves in that account. So just be aware that there may be something, not only the cost of the property, but just they want to make sure that, hey, we want to make sure this person isn't as risky as our numbers here say. So let's just make sure there's some reserve money. There's some cash there if something goes wrong. The other thing is you guys have to understand there's inspections, there's evaluations, and there's move-in costs. When you're inspecting the property, you're going to get a general person that's going to get in there and evaluate it. That can cost you anywhere from $300 to $500 depending on the scope of work and how deep you have them do that. But don't just stop there. Let's just say a home inspection says, look, there's some issues with the electrical, the plumbing, the roof. We need to get people out there to evaluate those properties to look at it. And they may say, look, I'm not going to just go look at your property to evaluate the roof. I got to charge you $150. An engineer, this, that, the other. Let's just say the cost ends up being $1,000. Folks, one time I remember on a property, I spent over $2,000 in inspection fees to realize, whoa, this is not worth it. And guess what? It wasn't a loss. It wasn't a cost to me. It was an investment to evaluate that property. And had I purchased it, it would have cost me a lot more than $2,000. So just know that is an investment into the property to properly do your due diligence and evaluate it thoroughly. And it's very important that we do that on every single property, whether we're buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Okay, make sure we're knowing what we're getting into. The other thing is there's HOA transfer fees. Sometimes there are charges and things that may be to transfer you into the association, into a new membership that you may have. Just remember, memberships are personal items, and so they may be on like a bill of sale, and so that may be a cost to you in order to, they're selling this property and they have furniture and they have a golf membership. Those are just some additional fees to just be aware of. Utility fees, okay, service fees. When you get into the property, you're going to just have to set those up. They may charge a fee to have you get the costs, okay, and so forth. And the final thing, when you're all into the property, you're so excited. You got the keys, you moved in, you paid the moving company, you paid your closing costs, all the inspections went fantastic, and you love this property, you got everything turned on. Got to furnish it, folks. I had these folks that got into it was a 14,000 square foot home. And again, whether you're getting into a small home or a big home, it's the same problems, folks, okay? And I just remember having this conversation with them. They're like, man, this is a bugger to furnish and expensive. And folks, whether it's a small property or a big property, just know, you gotta just budget for different things. Make sure that money's there. Don't go over through the roof. You don't have to get like West Elm or all these crazy things. Like, there's some different things that you can get. There's always people buying and selling and moving, and they're either downsizing that you can get good opportunities on if you're maybe a younger client. If you're moving up, you're like, I'm done with these kind of secondhand stuff. Get into something nice. Spend the money, because you're going to keep that stuff for years and years and years and years. Folks, just remember, buying a home, buying a property, moving into something amazing is such a great opportunity in today's market. Just be ready for the costs. Folks, if you're looking at buying a property or any type type of investment, just reach out. Let us help you understand maybe the things you should be thinking of, not only how to evaluate it, maybe the evaluations you should do, but also just the costs associated with it. We're here to serve you, here to help you. We're looking forward to helping you in the future. Take care. Talk to you soon.